Hello, and welcome to the Brian Diaries, where my pals and I get together and talk about subjects dealing with our favorite tabletop role-playing setting, the World of Darkness. While we may not be subject matter experts on the game lines, we have a passion that has led us to create and share actual plays with you all. Eventually we thought, well shit, we might as well take a stab at a podcast, and here you go. Each episode we will have a guest content creator to join us to talk about whatever subject is on the table. If you'd like to contact us, you can reach out to us on Twitter at twin_cities_VTM or on Facebook at Twin Cities by Night. So here we go. I hope you enjoy. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Brian Diaries. It feels good to be back with my homeboy, my now Texas brother. Andrew is here with me. We had spent a while. We kind of like diverged and like went our own separate paths, and like Mitch came in and filled the roles of each of us. But just like long lost stargaze lovers, we have found our way back. Fate has pulled us back into this creation of cold brew and I don't know, heavy metal. And it's just great to be back here. What is up, Andrew? How you doing, brother?
Look, I just want to say that you have yet to earn the Texas badge. You know, you're just because you're here doesn't mean you're Texan yet, okay?
I just want the spurs, man. I just want the spurs and maybe the hat and then maybe like the belt with the pistols on the side and the truck. I definitely want a truck, man.
That's how you can tell you're not Texan. All of those things.
God damn it, dude. I thought I was prepared, man. I watched Lonesome Dove like 3 times and I don't know what else to fucking do, man. But yeah, for those who...
You need to watch the entirety of King of the Hill. That's what you have to do.
Very true.
Just intake all of that. There you go.
And then I might go wrong. I can't do a Hank Hill.
Have you eaten Whataburger yet?
No, my wife has though. But I ate Bubba's chicken.
Yeah, no. You gotta eat some Whataburger. You gotta watch King of the Hill, and have some barbecue from like a hole in the wall kind of place. Oh, and tacos too.
And Lone Star beer, right? I gotta start drinking Lone Star beer.
No, I don't think anyone actually drinks that.
Oh man, dude. Fuck, well, that's why I'm glad you're back into my life here right now and you can get me on the straight. And you know, it's kind of funny, like Andrew actually lives like 30 miles or whatever from me. And we were trying to like think about recording this in person. And to be honest, we don't even have like an in-person setup, but like we could try to make it work. But it's kind of funny. Like I was thinking about that the other day. Like how odd is it that we don't even have like a studio set up like some of the cats out there? Maybe we'll have to make a studio, man. What do you think about that?
Studio?
Yeah, like a studio, man. To meet like once a month and talk about vampires and shit. Totally worth the money, right?
What?
No. God damn it, boy. Bobby. Something ain't right with that boy. That's my King of the Hill impersonation there. So, hey, man, we've been back on track with
cringeworthy as always.
Cringeworthy as motherfucking always, guys. That is us at Twin Cities by Night. No, but on the real, man, like I feel like we should. Like we're going to be talking about our subject like we normally do, which we won't tap into quite yet. But I feel like we almost got to like talk about another podcast at the beginning of our podcast because they always talk about us.
Let's just talk about first. Let's just talk about what we've been doing lately, which is for you has been listening to the Esoteric Order of Role Players.
Yes, very much so. I've been listening to the Esoteric Order of Role Players, a podcast that has a ton of actual plays, but what I'm specifically listening to at the moment is their duet series, which is Vampire the Masquerade. Well, it's kind of a mixture of Vampire the Masquerade and Hunter the Vigil, or Reveal, as they say in their podcast as a joke. But in all reality, it's been...
not a joke. You know it's not.
But there's been members of Twin Cities by Night who have been singing praises about the EOR is what they're known by to us for the longest time. To me, yeah. I mean, sorry. Andrew, Tillman. Isn't there someone else in the gang who listens to Craig? Yep, Craig. They've been telling me, like, Chris, you got to listen to this. You got to listen to this. But the thing, unfortunately, before I moved to Texas was I really had no time to listen to podcasts. Everything that I resided around was within like a 10-mile radius of where I lived in Phoenix. And I didn't have the capability to listen to podcasts where I worked at. But now that where I work at, I have like a 35-minute commute and I can listen to podcasts at work with my earbuds with my phone. So I've just been like burning through the EOR. I was like, guys, I'm going to listen. It wasn't for like any just kind of, why I didn't listen before. It wasn't because of like any, reason other than I just didn't have the time. But what's kind of funny too is the fact that Des from the Esoteric Order of Role Players has also kind of like started listening to other podcasts and has been listening to our stuff. She listened to Servitude, then Ultimate Evil, now Dread. She's listening to, so we've kind of been her and I and David Larkins, who's also her husband, who's also on the podcast. We've just kind of been talking and getting to know each other, and I think I can't remember who had the idea. I think it was Des who shot it. I was like, wouldn't it be funny, haha, if we did like a crossover thing? And what's going on now is there will be, and you guys might have seen on our social media, I kind of shared the thumbnail that we have. Props to Becca for making that thumbnail. But about where I'll be running a mini series that's set in the Twin Cities by night continuity called Sorrow of Winter, which will be telling the tale of a Sabbat pack that is going to be sent to the Twin Cities in 1989 to look into the disappearance of another pack that was embedded in there. It takes place about 2 months after the Ghoul's Fatal Addiction Servitude story. Is really awesome. They both, David Larkins and Desiree Valdez, will be playing in it. And we know for now that Craig and Becca and you may be playing it, depending on real life stuff. We haven't quite narrowed down who's going to be playing it, but we definitely know the character creation session will be happening on November 3rd, which I'm really super excited for, by the way.
I think it'll be fun, and I hope I get to participate in it. We'll see.
Yeah.
I have that concept that I pitched before. A few minor tweaks, and yeah.
Yeah, that'd be rad, man. What I'm looking to do with the story is I'm looking to tell a story with the gang that will make Black Sabbath cry. That's a line I stole from a band that said that a long time ago. But I want to make a story that is going to like touch into the emotional, sad tones of loss and depression, and just kind of tell that with the nucleus of a Sabbat pack being the center of it. So I'm really excited for it. They're in the talks about maybe running a game that's tied into their Hunter the visual series called The Demon's Mirror, which is really fucking awesome, which I listen to, by the way. So my point is, go listen to these folks if you haven't already. I actually think they probably have a larger listener base than us. They're probably more established, well known. David works with Chaosium, works on Call of Cthulhu, and I think Pendragon, if I'm not mistaken, and has like kind of like the street cred when it really comes to the whole writing scene of RPGs. And to have people like these two like kind of like acknowledge us is really an awesome feeling, like it's really just kind of like a mind-blowing feeling. It's surreal at times to have another content creator like compliment your stuff, and then I'm sure it feels the same way for them when I'm sitting here like, oh my god, I love this scene and this scene, and so it's really awesome to have a peer like that respect us. So I'm excited for that. I really am. So keep your ears open for that. Should be coming in November, and November 10th it should be released if everything goes as planned, which is my fucking birthday, motherfuckers. So you ready for a break?
You're letting the secrets out.
I'm letting the secrets out. Hey, man, it's cool to like.
Hey, I didn't get to talk about what I've been doing.
Oh yeah, what have you been doing, man? It's the cold brew. I just literally had a big.
Self-centered, Chris. God,
I literally
only think about yourself.
Okay, for the record, I'm on the high of just watching The Joker, like literally like 30 minutes ago, and I drank a big ass glass of cold brew. So go ahead and talk while I drink some water and collect myself.
It's not that big a deal. I mean, I haven't been doing a whole lot of gaming. I mean, minor like little games that I've been doing with my other group, where we have every like other Sunday we run stuff. So I've been doing like some little vampire one shot kind of things. That Giovanni Chronicles we're gonna pick back up, but that's man, that's crazy. That's a long thing, and I don't understand how White Wolf expected anyone ever to be able to keep going along with the story for that long, because it's so like you have to railroad people into doing certain decisions because there's so many different ways you can take it. The longer you go in any kind of game, really, the story can branch and change dramatically based off player actions, and they just assume this one specific course of action. So a lot of just pulling shit out my ass on my behalf.
That's the art of storytelling, dude. and on the real, every time we talk about Giovanni Chronicles, I just secretly hope that one day you come to us and be like, hey, I want to run the Giovanni Chronicles. I'm serious.
It's so good. It's really good, but it's also really bad in some ways.
Yes. And that's like, I guess, I mean, not to shit on
people like to like make fun of you for your monologues, but you ain't got nothing. You've got nothing on Claudius Giovanni, my dude. Like, dude. That dude can just talk forever. He just talked forever. And I, when I ran it, I cut out like 90% of his monologuing, and the players were still like, "Oh my god, he's still talking."
Fuck. Well, it's a lonely existence as a vampire, dude. So when you have someone you can talk to, finally, you want to get it all out of your system.
Oh man, he just gushed and gushed and it's something else.
Yeah, I know. I just been
But
about
it is a cool like overall like outline for a story.
For sure, and it's tied to canon, right? Which is kind of cool feeling for players. It's got a really like strong horror themes if you do it right. You know what I mean? And I myself played Brendan Carrion from Full Metal RPG, ran a home game for the first book, and I how he ran it was like really intense and really scary. So it could definitely be done like that. I mean, it's just the art of taking what you like from shit that White Wolf makes and just disregarding what you don't like, whatever your style and flavor is. You know?
Actually, speaking of Giovanni Chronicles, that's another one that the Esoteric Order did. So check them out if you want to hear a version of it. They did one. Des ran it for their group, and it was pretty good. I actually used some of her ideas from that in my own game because there was just this really creepy way that she did did one of the characters, and I was just like, I love that. It was so good. So good. She was just this weird motherly kind of like character, but it was also strangely like sexual, and it was awkward and also horrifying.
Very much so. And that comes to a good point. Like if you are out there listening, and if you're a content creator, or even if you're not a content creator, but if you enjoy a content that someone brings out there, like word of mouth is the strongest thing that you can use to help them out, for real. And every time that they've been nice enough to mention us, I feel indebted to them, and I really
no, not debt, man. Come on, it's
I know,
like
I know, but I listen
bringing
and
people up.
Yeah, it's bringing people up, and it's a good fucking feeling. It's like a sincere, organic, really awesome feeling. So if you're listening to this, check them out. And if you're listening to this and you're like, man, I really like XYZ podcast, or I like XYZ Twitch stream, or I like XYZ YouTube series, or whatever it may be, go out on your social media and show them some love so people can discover them, because that's a nice organic way for us to prop each other up, for sure. So it's really awesome. So check out the Esoteric Order of Role Players. They said it best. They're like chocolate, we're like peanut butter. You know what I mean? And it's just like, if you you'll find some, and they do things like what, before we go to our break, I really want to point out the thing that I really enjoy about them is the chemistry that Des and David have when they play. It's like it's a good feeling. Like it's weird because I'm not really big on like wanting to hear everything that goes on at a table, I guess, when people play. But like when you
if you look at our content, you can tell that because we have a lot of the side talk is cut out, and like editing goes into making it so that we are and we also we're also taking a lot of efforts on we keep a lot of that contained to just like breaks as well, where we just silence ourselves when we're not in the scene and just
but to hear them being a duet and hear like their discovery of a game together, or the way the character grows, and like the connection that they have being a married couple, I like it, dude. I like, because it's a weird mixture of like a podcast and of an actual play. Like, you know what I mean? Like it has this nice combination of both. So anyways, I'm waxing poetic, and enough about these awesome folks. Go listen to them for real. If you even if you got stopped listening to us and go listen to them for a while, go do it, man, for real. Like it's a good podcast, and they'll be on some of our stuff, so it'll be really awesome. So I'm really stoked for that. So when we get back from our first break, Andrew's going to take us on a journey where we're going to be talking about the Second Anarch Revolt that occurs in Vampire the Masquerade lore. So stand on by, and when we get back, we'll be talking some vampire fun.
The Los Angeles metropolitan area is constantly growing and changing. The Central District is full of new buildings. The Hollywood and Wilshire districts, once far from downtown, now are part of which spreads past Beverly Hills and out to the ocean. But why is all this going on in Los Angeles? Why is Los Angeles an exploding city?
Neon Masquerade.
The Demon's Mirror.
13 Candles.
3 chronicles running through the undead veins of the City of Angels.
The Esoteric Order of Roleplayers Actual Play podcast invites you to drink deeply.
Go to eorpodcast.com and search the duets tag to find out more.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back. We are going to be diving into the topic today of the Second Anarch Revolt. Now, as Chris had mentioned, I'm going to kind of give a little bit of background info here, kind of informing people what it is, and we'll try and discuss, different aspects of it and how characters could be used, existing characters, and how you can like incorporate your own player character into it and things like that. I'm sure, Chris, you have some ideas on those things as well.
Always and forever. Always and forever, brother.
So the Anarch Revolt, it's a bit complicated, as it is with anything regarding vampire,
No way.
it's not what it seems on the surface, and it's so much more than what some people think. Initially you look at these like anarchs and you think, oh, this is just like, people who are just anarchist in life. It's just like these like, oh, college students going out and protesting against the man and stuff like that, but it's got so much more depth than that, because it's about the oppression that the younger generations, the higher generations and younger vampires face from their elders, the Ancilla and elders, the ones who rule over the Camarilla, the Ivory Tower, and the Sabbat even has just these old vampires in charge, running things behind the scenes. And the anarchs are the ones who see all of this injustice and are just like rebelling against it. They may not have the best answer to it, but they know we don't like that situation where someone else is controlling my entire life. And so it ends up a lot of times them just looking like, fuck authority. But it's not so much that. It's not just authority. It's an authority they never had a say in. It's an authority that can literally mind control you, an authority that will enslave you through powers of the blood. It's an authority that excuse me. It's an authority that will put you to death for things that seem a bit harsh, as a punishment for. It's very, very stacked against your favor when you're a younger vampire.
For sure, yeah. I mean, to be honest, when I was actually first getting into vampire, even to be honest with you, and I'm just gonna be honest, because Andrew and other members of the gang are so much more educated on the lore of this game. I just pictured anarchs as whiny kids, like in my mind when I read about them. I found that sect at that time to be not as nuanced as it actually is. And believe it or not, you, Andrew, and listening to the EOR actually kind of changed my perception on that. But I do feel that, yeah, like, if you here's where I was flawed in my former outlook on the anarchs. If you look at the Sabbat started off very similar, right?
Yeah.
They were anarchs who rebelled and wanted to break blood bonds. You all know the story. They supposedly killed their antediluvians and other elders. 2 of them did. But they eventually became what they rebelled against, Like a lot of those people who led the rebellions eventually got in positions of power and eventually kind of resembled the elders that they ended up hating. So my point being is, a lot of these anarchs that that I mistakenly, I guess, portray or in my head as like whiny little runts really are just people who kind of end up being like the people they rebelled against, which makes it a lot more interesting. You know what I mean? Especially in an area like California and Los Angeles or on the West Coast there, where a lot of the canon takes place for Anarchs, where you kind of see that like they're even maybe worse than the people they rebelled against, because unlike the people they rebelled against, they don't have an overarching governing body to keep them all in check. So you have all these individual people who end up resembling the people they rebelled against, the barons, and then makes things kind of more chaotic there as things go on. I mean, I don't know if you would agree with me there, but that's how I kind of look at them. It's easy to say that you want change, but eventually you end up being like your parents, when you rebelled as a teenager with a piercing, and then fucking 20 years later you wear a tie to work.
Yeah. Let's dive a little bit into like how this second like revolt and startup of the Anarchs really come about.
Take me on a journey, Andrew, to a land far away.
Okay, you got to relax with that stuff, man.
Okay. Whoa. Okay.
So, the thing a lot of people don't realize is that the Second Anarch Revolt was precisely because an old vampire just rebelling and just wanting to shape his residence where he's chosen to live around him and make it into something that he can just just be this degrading like monster, and that vampire is Christopher Houghton. He's a very interesting character, to say the least.
Oh, I'm so excited.
This is like a tween, he's like I don't know exactly how old he's supposed to be.
I think he's like 12 or 13, maybe,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's how he appears, but like he's pretty old. He was a couple hundred years old by the time he come to like California.
Aaron.
Oh my God.
Okay, I know, right? That's a deep cut we'll talk about later, but for sure, yeah. Continue on.
Yeah, Christopher, he just wanted to have like blood orgies all the time. This guy was just like indulging in the worst of vampirism. He like turned like a serial killer murderer into his like child, and they just went around just like committing all kinds of acts.
Get the fuck out of here, really?
Yes. His child is a serial killer. Like what is his name? Joaquin Murrieta. Like,
so
look him
that
up.
Joaquin, the guy in EOR, was a fucking serial killer? The one with him?
Yeah, it's in real life, this man was a serial killer.
Holy shit. No way, man.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Oh my God.
So Joaquin Murrieta was a serial killer who very infamous. One of the earliest ones before there was even a term for it. He was like in the 1850s or something, like just a criminal, a murderer, just went around just killing people. He was horrible, and he turned this guy into his child. If that tells you anything about Christopher, this is the type of person he wanted to have like party with him.
Fuck me. That is some fucking sick shit. By the way, Joaquin and Chris. Joaquin and Chris. It's just, holy shit. Yeah. Okay. So a lot of you don't know, before we continue on, I just want to, if I sound like I don't know what I'm talking about and I'm all surprised, it's because I genuinely am surprised because I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Like, I know who Christopher is, but I didn't know that Joaquin was a serial killer and that he was that fucking degrading, dude. Really? Holy fuck balls, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they went on this on binges of just like murdering people all the time, and eventually Christopher sired another vampire, Don Sebastian, because he killed his whole family and just murdered everyone, and then embraced him and used him as his tool so that he could build up a powerhouse, to build up a base of operations so that he could control the region. Like he wanted Los Angeles to be like his mecca for everyone, for artists, to attract people to it. And he needed someone to be that for him. And so this Don Sebastian was just like his progeny that ran things while he was in the background.
And can we now? There's a little bit about Christopher, I know, and to kind of like shed some light, I guess, on why Christopher maybe wanted to like come to Hollywood, or I mean, it wasn't. We'll talk about that, but why he ended up the way that we are talking about him now was that Christopher was a toreador that was embraced, if I recall correctly. I don't know if he was embraced overseas or if he was.
I think it was like
embraced
Boston or something.
Boston, yeah, right. And basically, his sire was a toreador, obviously, because he's a toreador. But he, for like 100 years, I don't know how long, he basically was kind of what like the term poser that they have for toreadors. And then his sire or someone was basically it's like, you got to make a piece of art and show it to all the toreadors in Boston, and to like make it or whatever it was, some goofy game. And he did this painting and ended up being ridiculed and laughed, so he fled. And didn't he try to go to like Asia originally? That's where he thought he was going.
I don't recall exactly where he like wandered to or whatever, but he eventually ended up in California.
And he's like, oh hey, look it, yeah.
Yeah, he's the type who's like super paranoid of his sire and just ran and hid. That's part of why he's so like in the shadows behind everything, is because he's paranoid that one day his sire's just going to show up and kill him because, oh, you're just such a disappointment because you yourself aren't very like artistic. But he adores things like that, as like most toreador do.
Mhm.
He just adores, the arts and the performing arts and music and all kinds of things. And so he has basically, the whole idea is that Christopher is the reason why like Los Angeles is what it is and why Hollywood is what it is. You have canon characters like in Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. You have a Baron of Hollywood who talks about how like, I built this place up and everything. And it makes you think, if you look at this character here, and then you have this other guy saying, oh, I built this up. Well, that just means you're just a pawn of Christopher.
Mm-hmm.
He probably doesn't even realize it. This character that you interact with in this video game, who is was a pretty popular character, even, is probably just some tool of this other vampire. And Christopher probably had so many of those.
Yeah, I mean, he was building his influence and his power base there. I like the character of Christopher, to be honest with you, because Christopher reminds me of like that general horror aspect of kids who parents and adults can't control. You know what I mean? Like Children of the Corn, The Omen. There's so many good examples of that. Just these little fuckers who won't listen to authority and just will murder you. Now there's a lot more layers of nuance when it comes to Christopher like that, but it really taps into that fear of, hey, I'm just a 12-year-old kid who embraced a serial killer and I go around murdering people, which was going to lead me to ask you about. Go ahead.
It's important to note, like, the reason he embraced Joaquin Murrieta is because he had like a crush on him. He admired him, like, which is a thing Christopher does a lot, where he gets like these kind of like crushes on other people and like adores them so much. Like, he turned this murderer because he adored him. He loved what he was doing already. He thought it was beautiful.
Yeah. So is Christopher on humanity still, or is he on a path?
He's on humanity. He's just very low. I think
Very
it's like
low.
2 or 3.
Jesus Christ, man. So yeah, okay. So carry on, by the way. I'm like getting great. I'm engrossed right now.
So he's doing all this stuff. Other vampires are showing up. He's got his child who is like propped up as the prince. He's ruling over Los Angeles in his sire's stead, whose blood, they're both bloodbound to him too. These two child are. They're bloodbound and adore Christopher and do anything for him. So he has Don Sebastian, who's just fanatically devoted to him, and he's going and having all these crushes on sometimes mortals. They'd grow old and die, and then he would get sad, and then he'd go and find someone else, and he had people that he would like turn into stars overnight, that like, like just within a few days, even few weeks, these people become big because he's pulling the strings to make it to where they get all these lucky breaks. And eventually this starts to wear down on his childhood. Don Sebastian was getting pretty frustrated, and there was one person that Christopher was obsessed with, who was I believe he's Bruges. It's just from like Ireland or something, Jeremy McNeil. And he had this crush on this guy, never actually interacted with him, but he would watch and listen, and he heard his passion in the way he talked about this, anarchy, he's trying to because again, there's been anarchs all throughout history, from the first movement all the way up until now, but they weren't really organized, they weren't big, and so this Bruja was so passionate, and that made Christopher just very much adore him. And seeing that, Don Sebastian, he got a little jealous.
Well, Don Sebastian also was kind of a fucking degenerate himself too, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, I mean, with a sire like Christopher, come on.
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember reading about, I can't remember, I think it was in LA by Night or somewhere years ago, about how there was and this is scary as fuck, by the way, how Don Sebastian had like an orgy at his house where all these mortals were all fucking coked up, and him and these kindred fed up were feeding all these mortals. They end up frenzying so bad that they ran down the streets of Hollywood naked, just attacking anything that like came across them.
Yeah,
like,
that's, if that tells you anything about how this prince was. Yeah,
I mean, you got to think about this. Hollywood has a reputation. There's a lot of good mediums. Cold Heart Canyon by Clive Barker is one of them. We're just like this, kind of has this reputation of being like a place of filth. If anyone's ever been to Hollywood or to LA, which I used to live in LA, like it's not a clean place. It's you know what I mean? Like, a lot of shady shit happens in a place like that. So to think of like vampires in the mix of that, yeah, man. And then like jealous, degenerate vampires like Don Sebastian for sure. I remember that distinctly, thinking like how scary and fucked up, and just Hollywood. Hollywood, that whole scene is fucking orgies with coke and running down the street naked attacking people. You know what I mean? Like, that's fucking Hollywood when I think of it.
Yeah. And even before like it really started to get to an out of control situation, like it was already where Los Angeles was like a haven for all these like dispossessed and degenerate type of people at the time.
Well,
it was really bad.
You gotta look at I like one thing that I try to do in vampire games. I try to do that in Dread with the Setite, was where if a vampire is embedded so long in like an area, you know what I mean? Like if they live there, make it, what's the term I'm thinking of? Not haven, their territory pretty much, where they have control over domain. If they are in their domain for so long, you would think like we look at Chris, right? And Chris is a degenerate and he's just a monster. That eventually trickles down into like I hate to use the term essence, but into like the population in a way. You know what I mean? Like he's such a magnet of like fucked up negativity, like a battery that that kind of like embeds itself into this city in a weird way. You know what I mean? And eventually the city will start like corrupting from within. That's a concept I like a lot in horror,
Absolutely. And so like all of this eventually came to a head when, there was this whole contention between them. Jeremy was humiliated by Don Sebastian. The guy just like dominates and uses presence powers to just make him like beat himself. And Jeremy, being prideful, tells everyone that he had the prince had his ghouls beat him, because he didn't want to admit that this prince made him beat himself into like a state of like barely able to be able to walk.
Choke yourself.
Yeah. And he didn't want to admit it. And so he lies and tells everyone, that this is what happened, which that just, with all the other things, it starts setting people off. They go after him. They like revolution. It's time to just revolt and destroy the prince.
Yeah.
And they go all over the city, just killing kindred that were loyal to Don Sebastian. They go to his haven, and one of Jeremy's like close friends is another kindred named Salvador Garcia, who he goes in there to Don Sebastian's like his house, and he goes inside to where he's like, oh, he's making his last stand, and he finds like everybody dead, just completely slaughtered, and just like everyone, and Don Sebastian is dead.
What did Chris do it?
Well, it's hinted at that Chris did. It's hinted at. It's actually in Los Angeles by Night, and it makes it's pretty heavy-handed. Like this was definitely Christopher because of what Don Sebastian did to Jeremy, who he was adoring. He got his revenge. He was like, because he had told him that Jeremy was off limits. He wasn't supposed to mess with him. You're supposed to leave him alone. And as soon as he word got out that he had his ghouls beat him, no.
Oh, when in reality, if that's the case, Dawn, who's bloodbound to Chris, technically didn't hurt Jeremy. Jeremy hurt himself. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
exactly.
Bloodbound, like think of those creative ways to get around or use that bloodbound flaw or whatever, you know what I mean, in games. And that's a creative way. So sorry, I thought of that when I heard it.
Yeah. No, and that's exactly what he did. He was bound to this other vampire, but he also and he wanted to follow through, but he was also so jealous. And so he did lash out but he technically didn't break his command. But that's what happened, and he ended up getting just fucking murdered by either Joaquin or Chris himself, one of the two. It could have been either of them, but it would have been at Chris's behest. And so Salvador tells everyone, like, I think it's just him and Jeremy McNeil that know that, like, Salvador didn't actually do this, but they told everyone that Salvador went in there and killed this prince. And that's when they established their whole anarch free states. We're all gonna be free, and nobody's gonna
one big happy family. We're all gonna get along, everybody.
Yeah, because Jeremy McNeil, he had the respect of everyone. He could have easily been like, I'm Prince now, but he didn't want that. Like, he's an idealist,
Mhm.
and so they just established this whole like thing, like we're anarchs, and all anarchs are welcome here. Fuck the Camarilla, fuck the Sabbat, they're not allowed. And after years and years, there were invasions by the Sabbat. Camarilla always like trying to poke at it. And in the LA by Night book, it's set in the early 90s. I think it's like 91, 92, somewhere around there. And so they hadn't actually gotten up to the point where the Camarilla does come back and take over. But so it kind of leaves you in that book at a point where, like, okay, here they are. It's the Anarch Free States. It's the control of the Anarchs, and there's like Justicars who are trying to reestablish Camarilla control and all this other stuff. And so it really sets up a political situation in there. But you have this whole revolt that was led by these vampires who have no idea that the only reason that they were able to succeed, and the only reason that they continued to be successful and repel any attacks, is because they have this powerful, very powerful vampire just watching out for them.
Yeah, for sure. And even in Revised, they even have too, where like other anarch areas, like in San Diego, I think eventually went back to the Camarilla because of threats of the Sabbat coming from Mexico and the Kindred of the East coming, which is a big theme in the Revised era too. So like one thing that about the anarchs that, and again, it was just my naive outlook on them, but really in all reality, not only are they screwed from their internal infighting, because like, I mean, come on, these are kindred that have the beast on their shoulders, they're not going to get along. You know what I mean? It's like everyone wants their own domain or whatever, but they're getting pressure from the Camarilla, they're getting pressure from the Sabbat, and then they're getting pressure from the Kindred of the East. So you see a lot of that. Some of them start going back to the Camarilla, but I mean, for the most part, LA is just, I mean, it's a bomb with a lit fuse waiting to go off.
Yeah.
But also then you can be like, is it really? Is it just really Christopher being like, yeah, you play your games, I'm just going to sit here with my murder buddy, and we're going to really control things here.
That's exactly what it is. It's Christopher in the background controlling everything, and that leads some interesting ideas that you could have for like follow-ups afterwards to try to rationalize some of the changes to the setting over time, for the LA. Because you have like the bloodline storyline where there's like a prince now, and it's like Camarilla and anarchs against each other, just kind of like seeing who's going to flinch first. And that and you have your player, there's a canon storyline for that game, but there's a couple different endings and everything. But you and then you have V5 where it's kind of like there's not so much Sabbat at all, like they've mostly just disappeared. And I haven't read the Anarch book for V5, so I don't know if they mention what's going on in LA at all. But I know that V20 has the Anarchs Unbound, and it kind of gives a little bit of it expands on the whole Anarch Revolt and the story of how it began. It does dive into this story from a little bit slightly different perspective. It gives a few new details that are pretty interesting. So yeah.
Yeah, and then you got the LA by Night actual play going on too, which I think they said is canon also. So there's a lot of material to look into there. I don't know what they're doing with the Anarch Revolt in there or anything, but I'm sure it's being touched because I do think that there's an Anarch character.
It has to be, because it's such a important part of that setting. Because even with like Camarilla being in control, if that's how they're doing it, then you still have like huge numbers of Anarchs.
Yeah, well, I think one of the characters is a Baron too, or calls himself a Baron. So yeah, I'm assuming they're there. But it's overall, I mean, to be honest with you, I tried. Okay, no spoilers. Well, I guess a little spoilers. But I mean, you played in Dread. Anyone who listens to Dread maybe saw where I was kind of dangling that Anarch carrot a little bit. That like it might happen in that game there, and I feel like you can use Anarchs in a way. Because to be honest with you, and again, it was just my childish outlook on it, was that I just thought the Anarchs were Camarilla who just didn't like to follow rules, but they still followed the same rules in the end. But it's a lot more than that. It really is. It's a lot more in depth. The thing is, it can be challenging because you can have in your game, and that's what I tried to do in Dread, where you can have maybe signs of a revolt starting to happen. And that doesn't even have to be called Anarch. You know what I mean? Am I making sense? Like, you don't even have to say, this NPC says, I'm going to start an Anarch Revolt. It could just be a handful of player characters or NPCs in a Camarilla or Sabat City who are tired of everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, tired of the status quo, tired of how things are
Exactly.
going. They're tired of getting screwed over, and they do something about it. And that's exactly what the Anarch movement is all about.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And it's making it to where the people who are being ruled over have a say in how they're being ruled over.
Yeah, for sure. And there's so many different ways that can lead. Could it lead to just be a regime change? Could it lead to be an all new governing system? Could it lead to a different sect taking over? It's very interesting and complicated things that you can walk away from. There's different complicated and interesting political themes that you can walk away from. In reality, the build up to a revolt, or the build up to some kind of power keg of explosion that happens when it comes to like the local politics, it can be a slow burn. It could be a very slow burn, as I'm sure it is said in LA by Night or whatever. Eventually leads to this pressure and this pressure and this pressure, but it could lead to really interesting stories to show the first signs of where that pressure started, and eventually just starts to like snowball and snowball and snowball. So I know I definitely, before we even recorded this, Andrew and was very adamant about his love of the Anarchs in our Discord when we had a talk, which I think led to this eventually, this being a topic, but for sure, I think it's interesting. If you want to see an interesting way that the Anarch, a lot of these NPCs are used, and I know we pushed them earlier, is the Esoteric Order role players and their Neon Masquerade story. A lot of those NPCs from LA by Night are in that game. So if you like those NPCs,
I mean, I'm pretty positive they actually use the LA by Night book. So
I'm sure too, because, and by the way, David Larkin's handling of the NPC Christopher is so awesome. It's so awesome and so creepy. Especially, I didn't know this back history, like the I didn't know that Joaquin is a serial killer. You know what I mean? I didn't know about these murder sprees, all this stuff. So if you really want to,
just degeneracy, the sheer like
giving into the beast.
Yeah, they're oh man, they're bad. They are bad vampires, and he shaped everything around that. Yeah. And so, like, yeah, you have this whole situation, and you can still see it in the Anarch Revolt. It's not just like, oh, his prince who's doing all this stuff. Because if you look at it, like, you have all these gangs with the Anarchs fighting constantly. Some of them are pretty terrible. They're gangs that just do some horrible things, and they have all the, like, they split territory up and like, okay, this is our place and that's your place, but they're always constantly at war. And like you were saying, that influence just still leaking through of his ideal society, of like just vampires being able to do whatever the fuck they want.
And is that a good thing? You know what I mean, right? Because like vampires are territorial assholes, unless they may say they'll get along for a little bit until they want that line of theirs to go farther away so they can get a bigger area of influence, and a bigger area to hunt. So
see, part of why I tell people like the Anarchs are one of my favorites, because like they are flawed. They're not perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect faction in the world of darkness. There's not.
There's
But
not.
at least
Not-
with the Anarchs, you get a lot of positives, but they're also flawed enough to where you can tell so many interesting, unique stories, and there's a lot of potential for all kinds of different types of chronicles.
Yeah, and for sure, especially now that it seems like in V5 that is the Camarilla and the Anarchs are the two main factions. Kind of going back to that first ed vibe, where that was kind of like what it was. So there's a lot of room there, a lot of room for stories to be told.
In that book, the LA by Night, there's always the hints throughout the entire thing where they don't outright say it, but they're always like these hints of oh, the new mayor getting visits from this golden-haired boy, and all this stuff of just showing you how much is really it's all being controlled by this one old, powerful, just corridor into just debauchery.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, we kind of sound nuts right now when we're talking about, I'm reading this book, man, and there's signs in this book that the truth presented isn't the truth that we know. Thank you, Vampire the Masquerade, for making us all fucking insane. I'm just saying. Don't you feel a little nuts?
Is it really insanity, or paranoia, if it's true?
I know, right? Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not after you, man. You know what I mean? Just because you're paranoid does not mean they're not after you. On that note, on that bright sunshine, rainbow, unicorn fart note right there, we're gonna go ahead and take our next break.
I feel like you're laughing because you can just feel the cringe on my face, coming through the screen.
I am. I can feel it. I can hear it in your voice, dude. We've been doing this long enough. I can hear the pain. But on that note, when we come back, we'll go ahead and be talking about what's coming up on the Twin Cities by Night schedule. So stay tuned.
High Level Games, the industry's first choice in taking your games to the next level. We are a podcast blog and new media network at highlevelgames.ca. We have blog posts about all of your favorite games going up 5 days a week, and a podcasting network with actual plays and shows that discuss role-playing games, with more rolling out all the time. We are on iTunes, Twitch, and YouTube. Find out more information at highlevelgames.ca, a site that certainly isn't controlled by a shadowy board of directors of otherworldly origin. That's highlevelgames.ca.
Please, help. They're coming.
All right, welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Diaries here. We're going to be talking about what we have coming up on our schedule. So after this is released, we have next coming up, it will be The Ultimate Evil Institutionalized. But man, holy shit, I've been having fun with that, dude. Really, is this weird, situation I find myself in as a storyteller with that game, and the fact that the first arc was only 6 sessions, but I want to really take my time with the story, but I don't want to take too much time, but I'm worried about whatever. But a lot of people that I kind of confide in about, they say, do the slow burn. You know what I mean? The slow burn is worth it. Don't rush anything. Just kind of let it happen organically on its own. And man, I'm really that game is something that is super fucking special to me, man.
That's kind of how I felt about when I ran Corruption, is I'm just going to go at the pace that the players set for unraveling the story. And when it's the right time, that's when it's time to end it. And just do the same thing. Just whenever you feel like, okay, now is the end. That's, you can't just have a pre-planned ending in mind, because then you'll never end up satisfied.
Well, for sure. I guess what I worry is the players getting bored, but I think that all you enjoy, the kind of the smaller scale interactions that you guys have in the game with NPCs and stuff like that. And also, I'm slowly introducing elements of the overall plot that's happening. And I think one thing I like to do in the Ultimate Evil is build this baseline of normalcy, and then having an occasional flare up happen. That's oh fuck, we're in a horror game, like the scene with Alex and his dream. Just having something remind everyone yeah, your life is normal, you think, but it wasn't just but 6 months prior that you guys saw some fucked up shit. You know what I mean? And you're trying to still live in the small town in North Dakota. So I really, really, really love that game. I love it because I love being able to interact with you. You're one of the players, and the other players interact with them and be normal interactions. You know what I mean? Not exactly supernaturally tied, but yet impactful to the story. And it's fun, that scene with you and Brian, and not knowing how you're going to react to Brian, showing up at your front porch drunk. You know what I mean? Or
yeah.
with Derek getting laid off, or with like Wayne and Alex and talking to his parents. It's just like, I love it, dude. I really love it. And it's like, I don't want to sound like selfish, but like, if everyone in the world told me they fucking hated that story and game, I'd still selfishly run it, even if it meant losing all our listeners. You know what I mean? If everyone's like, if you don't stop running this game, I'm gonna fucking stop listening. Sorry, dude, go on, because I love playing it. You know what I mean? And I love playing it with you guys.
That's why people listen to us.
I guess, right? It's so weird
because we're playing to have fun.
Yeah, it is, and I mean, if people can't see that by us playing in that North Dakota Chronicles of Darkness game, I don't know what else to fucking say. You know what I mean? But it's a blast, and I really love it, and I really feel that like throughout our existence as Twin Cities by Night. I mean, we're coming up on 4 years in April, which is kind of crazy. We have evolved a lot as players and storytellers, man. And one thing I don't think people realize is like one of the most challenging things, well, people probably do realize this, but one of the most challenging things with the role-playing group is feeling comfortable. You know what I mean? Learning how to like play off of each other. And I think that through just the sheer amount of time that we've played together as a group, we know how to play off each other just as players. You know what I mean? We know everyone's style. Yeah. We know what they like. We know how to go back and forth with each other. I think that's honestly part of the reason why these one shots have been happening, you know, a lot, is because we all know we can get together and play a game. I'm not saying we're like high level, whatever. I'm not saying that. I'm saying us as a group, we're comfortable with each other. And I think that shows. If you were to listen to us from day one to like now, you would hear like, yes, holy cow, I can see this progression and evolution of this group as it continues to do that way. And so games like Ultimate Evil are really fun for me now because I put all this thought into these NPCs, and then I have these player characters and players who put all their thoughts, and now we know how to like these conversations. Like I can't, like, I listen to you guys talk, dude, and like that first session, for people who don't know, I thought the first session was going to totally go a different way. I thought the first session was going to be different way. I don't know if people couldn't tell listening, but it's funny. Like I was like, oh shit, I didn't expect them all to say no. But the conversations that you guys had as characters, like in the main bar, I was just totally blown away listening to this, because it was like, you guys know how to play off each other, and it's so fucking fun. And then to be like, I created a setting and these guys are bringing it to life. You know what I mean? And I owe you guys an eternal debt of gratitude for that, man, because this story would not, the Ultimate Evil or any of these stories would not be anything without the players, for sure. I'm just doing the outline and they're coloring in all the shading and all the details. So thank you, Andrew, for being a pal and doing that. I love the character Che, and just I love that game. And it's the special one. I could easily be running some popular game right now. You know what I mean? Like a game line.
Thanks for running it. And that's actually good advice for anyone really who's trying to run and play in games. Is like, you know, if you're a storyteller and you're running one of these, like, it doesn't have to be, you know, Chronicles. It could be any of the storytelling systems. If you're running a game, or even just, you know, any other system, have an outline, have an idea of your story, but let the players fill everything in. Let them motivate the story. You know, you'll enjoy the ride that they bring you on by giving input and engaging them and letting them to just direct where everything's going to go.
Oh, 100%. I'll say this openly, and I have no shame in saying this. Almost 100% of the scenes that people say they enjoy in Wars on Fire, Dread, and the Ultimate Evil are all scenes that happen because the players decide to have those scenes. You know what I mean? Like, for real. And so that's a testament to you guys, for real. And I'm really thankful. So enough me waxing poetic. I love the fucking Ultimate Evil. It is my baby, and I love it much more than anything I've ran. I love the other shit I ran, but I love the Ultimate Evil. It's really special to my heart. Then after that, we have Chronicles of Darkness, Inferno, Temptation. And if you guys have not listened to that, boy, Andrew, boy, it's like that guy. It's got that Ultimate Evil vibe, man. Like when I say the Ultimate Evil vibe, I mean like the characters are really leading that story. You know what I mean? Like it's really like kind of amazing how that is happening. I hate using words like that, describing our shit, but like I enjoy listening to it. I listen to all of our shit. We edit our shit. I listen to the day it comes out, just like with a fresh perspective. You know what I mean? Just kind of like fresh ears, like a listener would. And I listen to Inferno and I enjoy it, man. I really like the concept. For those of you who don't know, who are listening, basically Slavic made this concept where he kind of took inspiration from Wraith, where two people will play mortals, but two people play demons who are possessing these mortals. That takes place during the Hussite Wars, which Slavic is very familiar with because he's from the Czech Republic, and that took place in his homeland there, and it's just a game where like basically me and Craig play Immortal, and we have Tillman and Joaquin playing demons. I mean, we think like people are like, oh, that's boring, but it's really this creative like chess
I don't
piece.
think anyone's gonna think that's boring.
I know. Fuck, I'm like really rough.
You know, I haven't even started listening to it yet. It's like there's so many other things, so I'm waiting until you guys actually like complete like a story arc, and then like I'm gonna go back and listen to it then.
Yeah, you should. You'll enjoy it. I think you really will enjoy it. And Joaquin and Tillman are so fucking amazing, dude, playing like these demons, but they're not like overly demon, like Satan. They're not even like that.
Look, these two guys, they're subtle. They're clever. They're clever dudes.
Oh, for
I
sure.
have no doubt in their ability to portray a subtle, like scheming demon just like whispering into your ear.
Oh, dude, and so they're so good at it, dude. So good at it. All I gotta say is like, wow, for sure. The next after that we have Demon the Fallen Fragments, which is still going strong. That takes place after that. That's what I'm really impressed. One thing that blew me away is hearing how these characters are playing like things that are alien to the surroundings around them. The last session, Adam like had a really like the way he plays his character is just I just like it because I think Mitch is really good at flashback scenes and describing the war in heaven that happened, and then you come back to like the almost like I hate not to use the term negatively, but almost like autistic outlook that these characters have on the world. It's really amazing. Demon, I'm surprised how many people like love Demon the Fallen. It's something that I really never have read, but for sure that is going on strong. And then after that, released on my fucking birthday, November 10th, will be the Sorrow of Winter character creation session, where half of it will be how I view it as now half of it will be the players giving like the traits and the dots or whatever like we do for some of our games, and then the other half will be like a narration introduction about how this group becomes a pack. So I'm very excited about that. Like I said, we'll have guest players of David Larkins and Desiree Valdez from the Esoteric Order of Role Players who will be on that. It'll be part of the Twin Cities by Night canon, so questions of the plot will be answered within there, which I'm really excited for because it's just like I love that we are so that game, the original vampire game that I started, has gone along so much that like I can answer these canon questions or you show them, expose them, that I've had in my head since the beginning. You know what I mean? So it's like, like this, it's finally starting to come into life. Actually, matter of fact, I was talking to Desiree about this, and kudos to you. The character Lenny was really helped me open those doors up a lot, you know, with the just the concept of the character, and you know what I mean? Just like being able to look into things and find things and stuff like that. So that was really awesome. And I owe that. I love it, man, when players are able to expose plot that you want to expose, so you don't have to hammer it in, you know what I mean? Like force it in. So that was really, really awesome. But other than that, like that's what we got going on for the next month. We're always scheming. Keep your eyes open or your ear holes open, I guess, for Halloween. There might be something dropping on Halloween. I don't want to say too much, guys, but keep your ears open for Halloween. Something's gonna drop, but I'm not gonna tell you what it is. This is gonna be fucking awesome. But other than that, you got anything to say, Andrew, before we let these people go back to the sanity?
You're not the only one with secret plots of the things releasing on the channel. Just saying.
Oh, what the fuck? I don't even know what you're talking about. We gotta talk off camera, dude.
No, I'm not gonna tell you anything. That's all you get.
What? Do other gang members know about this shit too?
I'm not gonna say anything.
What? Oh my god! Now you got me all fucked up. What the fuck? Now you guys hear me generally shocked. God damn it! Why do we script this out if you're going to surprise me? I'm joking. We don't script this out. We're not. Never mind. But anyway, so until then, drink cold brew and listen to Black Sabbath. Not Sabbath, right? It's not Sabbath, Andrew. Is it Sabbath? How do you pronounce
what?
How do you pronounce Sabbath?
Sabbath. That's what I say because
it's right, right?
I'm Southern and it's Sabbath. Like
Sabbath, right?
When you pronounce something like spelled that way, it's A is pronounced like a lot. So I don't know.
Yeah. It's not Sabbath, right?
Like the way I approach linguistics is that there's no right or wrong way to pronounce.
Oh, now you're being
anything.
You're being a diplomat. You're being
a
diplomat.
No. That's not just a diplomatic answer. I used to be one of those like snobs who was like, you have to say it like this and it's spelled like this, and it's like, it's actually not true because language evolves, language changes, and it is It doesn't matter how you say it.
It doesn't matter how you say it, as long as you say drink
No.
cold brew and listen to Black Sabbath, right?
Well, okay, I was gonna say as long as the idea you're trying to communicate is properly
Well,
communicated.
fucking, what if I'm trying to communicate, drink cold brew and listen to Black Sabbath and do shit like that?
As long as you get that idea across.
Yeah. So how about this? You want me to try to get it across one more time?
No, we're good. I think we get it.
Okay. You all get it, but drink cold brew, listen to Black Sabbath. All right. Talk to you guys later. Peace out.
Oh, hello again, folks. I'd like to tell you about the Facebook group we run called White Wolf and Onyx Path RPGs Gameplay and Media. Have you ever wished you could have an easy way to find gameplay videos and podcasts, or just media in general that deals with your favorite White Wolf role-playing games? Or have you ever wished you could find a forum to share gameplay that you have recorded? One that won't be drowned out by random posts and discussions, so that your media could get the attention you deserve. The group is specifically run with the sole intent of it being a one-stop shop for people to view or share media involving the games we all love. We take thorough steps to ensure the page does not become cluttered and is easy to traverse. The group is already immense and continuing to rapidly grow, with new media being shared every day. Stop on by. We hope to see you there.